And views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and welcome back to Ty Bar. Wait a minute. You know, you're gone for a day. You're doing regionals. You think you can get into my lane? Come on, Ty.
Nah, my lane was pretty occupied yesterday with a couple of baseball games that I had to go out and go. It was interesting day to say the least. We're gonna have to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, you had Richie, you had the voice behind the Mahoning Valley Scrappers on with you yesterday.
That was like Richie put us all to shame. He was so prepared. He had notes on everything. Like he probably knew where these Ursuline kids went to preschool at this point. The research that he did for these, it was just, all I had to do was just be like, hold the reins and go on for the ride because Richie was awesome.
Yeah, no doubt, and I mean does a great job too with his work too broadcasting, and you can catch Richie tonight, I believe, as well.
Yep.
He's going to be on the next two nights as Mahoning Valley is home the whole weekend. So
Game 2 of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers series against West Virginia. They won last night, and you can find a recap and a post-game interview from that game on ysnlive.com. Richie Giuliano wrote the recap. He did a really good job, and he also did the post-game interview with Buck Anderson of the Scrappers. So, Ty, like you said at the top of the show, you did a couple of regional games last night, and unfortunately for YSN and their schools, did not go our way. We had 4 teams in regionals. 2 of them lost heartbreakers by 1 run, and Ursuline also fell. Talk about the games you had. Start with the South Range Hawken game, how that game went down. It was such a pitcher's duel, Ty.
I mean, it was, and all the scoring for the entire game happened in the 5th inning. South Range scored 1 off of Shane Lindstrom RBI's single, and they got the second run thrown out at the plate. Hawken did, so they erased 1 off of South Range's total. Came right back and was able to score 2 in the bottom half of the 5th. Hawken was batting in the bottom half of the innings too. 9-hole hitter too, batting 143, gets a huge RBI single that ties the ball game up. And then going right into top of the hitter with Raber, he comes out with a huge double, huge RBI double right out, or Suggs, Khalil Suggs right out. There's the Suggs on the one team with Hawken, and then the Rabers were on Waynedale's team. I had them mixed up, but it was Suggs too, the leadoff hitter for Hawken, that came up with a huge RBI double that took the lead, and that was all that they needed. But I mean, both pitchers were dealing. Billy Skirpak had a great game too, 8 strikeouts on the hill too, and he did what he always did this season too. He commanded the game and he kept you in it throughout all 7 innings too. Just South Range's offense just couldn't come up in key moments too, and there was some questionable calling in the 1 inning too that I know Coach Hannick and them were a little bit confused about, with the runner getting out because he went out of the baseline, but it looked like he was within the baseline, so that one was a questionable call. But yeah, a heartbreaker certainly for South Range in this one too. But I mean, you got to give a hand to Billy Skirpak. Left it all out there on the mound, too, and gave his team a chance to win. It was just not a South Range's night in the offensive box.
Yeah, Ty, we were talking about it off air. We talked about it last night in our text message. Man, the 9-hole hitters and them getting on has become a really big theme in baseball and softball tournaments this year for YSN games, and it's never gone our way. I mean, that's like the third time a 9-hole hitter has come up and gotten a big hit in against one of our teams.
Yeah, and I mean it's unfortunate too because I mean you saw what South Range was doing. They had great glove work the whole game. They were playing really solid defense. Billy Skirpak was dealing. They pitched and played good enough to win the game defensively too. But got to give a credit where credit's due. And I mean Lambert on the other end was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. And I mean that's when Brandt came out and he was dealing. What else can you do? I mean, when both pitchers are dealing, it's just who can get enough offense across. Hawking got enough.
To South Range's credit, their 9-hole hitter did a pretty good job too. Corey Pennick came up with a hit. And did he score the run on
I believe
Lindstrom's
so.
RBI?
I believe so. Yeah.
So both 9-hole hitters in this game scored the run.
If it wasn't him, it might have been Terajak too, because Terajak I think might have walked in that inning if my memory just offhand serves correctly. But yeah, I mean South Range only held to 3 hits. Pennick got one of them too, and that was surprising too for a Raiders offense that's been very potent all season. You got to give credit where credit's due. Brandt really did a great job.
That's baseball, and that's why we always say, we remember when Scotty asked us, what would you rather have, a really good offense or really good pitching? And it's like, good pitching can silence a really good offense any day of the week. So both teams did that because Hawken has a pretty good offense coming in too. I mean, you look at their offense; it was pretty comparable to South Range on the runs scored. Not as dominant, but pretty good offense. And Skirpak was able to hold them in check. 5 hits,
I believe
8
so. Yeah.
strikeouts. So both these offenses were silenced by really good pitching. It came down to the little things, right? It came down to executing the little things. Small ball for Hawken, that infield single from their 9-hitter that got them on first, and then an 0-2 double that scored the runner from first. Down 0-2. It's a little things like that when you're ahead 0-2, you can't throw a pitch that's pretty. You gotta work the corners. And I think maybe one of the only pitches that Skirpak made the whole game was that 0-2 pitch almost right down the middle that Suggs took for a double.
And I mean, give all the credit where credit's due too, and the way Hawken bounced back after giving up the initial run in the 5th because they had to come back. And the one
with
thing,
the bottom of their order due up,
yeah,
right? It was like 7, 8, 9 due up.
Exactly. And I mean, the one thing I think Hawken did extremely well against Billy Skirpak yesterday was, even though they weren't getting a lot of hits, they weren't getting a ton of walks, they were really forcing a lot of pitches from Skirpak. They were seeing a lot. They were getting deep into counts too. And even necessarily if they were down in counts, they were fighting off a lot of pitches, seeing a lot of pitches in their at-bats and then in their plate appearances. And I think it paid dividends that second and third time through the order, and that was what enabled them to get just enough as far as the offensive hits were concerned of offensive runs.
That hitting strategy goes back to Billy Bean and Moneyball, right? Just trying to make the pitcher work, see as much pitches as you can in an at bat, even if it means taking a first pitch strike. Some coaches are against it. Like, hey, if they give you something first pitch, swing and get aggressive. But some coaches are like, this is a really good pitcher. We have to at least try to make him work for his outs. And they stacked up Skirpak's pitch count.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a strategy in baseball too, especially if a guy's coming in fresh, which most of the time they are too, you got that 125 pitch count, and you can see some really good offensive hitters really work that count. And when guys are getting 8, 9, 10 pitch at bats, that only leaves room for 12 guys to be able to pitch like that too, and keep within your pitch count. So it is a strategy if you're saying, hey, we got a good pitcher that likes to work the corners. Let's just protect the plate. Let's work the count, and let's try to get that pitch count up.
When you look at South Range's game, and it comes down to, like I said, the little things that get magnified in regionals, and it doesn't take away from the season. We've said it before. We can't define a season by one game.
No, not at all. And I mean, like we said, there's only four baseball, 4 softball teams that walk away state champions at the end of the year. So I mean, To say you're not a good team if you're not a part of one of those four is ludicrous, a completely ludicrous statement. I mean, it's still a great season, and there's still a lot of things to be taken away from South Range going back-to-back district champions too. There's still those guys that are right there too, and sometimes you get a seat at the table, and it's just not the right play for you that you get, right? I mean, it's
Nice
just
metaphor.
yeah, it's just the case too. But we've seen South Range come in with a losing record before into a tournament and walk away champions. That's the beautiful thing about baseball too. As long as you can keep getting there, keep winning that district, just keep getting there. There's always that chance of having that magical run because 90% of the time I feel like with the sport, that's all it is. It's just who gets hot at the right time in regionals.
We'll go on to Ursuline. You were there for that one as well in Massillon. Ursuline fell to, he's Waynedale. Four games. I mix up who played who.
Yeah.
They fell to Waynedale 8-4, and it was one where, unfortunately for Ursuline, pitching was pretty good. Their offense did admirable. It was a couple of defensive miscues and some bad timings.
Yeah, I mean, it was a couple of defensive miscues too, and it was uncharacteristic of the Irish to make those kind of defensive miscues, but they did happen too. And you got to credit Waynedale all the way. And I will say, out of a lot of baseball teams I've seen, Waynedale is probably one of the most fundamentally sound baseball teams I've seen as far as like guys that can bunt. They know how to move guys over. They don't swing at bad pitches. They get deep into counts. I mean, they're just a really good, fundamentally sound baseball team, and that's really tough to beat when you pair that with good arms too. And they have two guys that can really deal on the Golden Bears too. And we saw, looking at what Golden Bears offered too, it was one inning for Ursuline that they were able to come back, and it was actually a pretty interesting inning, I would say too, because Waynedale at the time was up 4-0. Ursuline, was able to score 3 to counteract that too, and it all started with Mark Manning and Nick Bako getting back-to-back bunt singles to get on base for the top of the order, and then Luca Ricciuti and the following did their thing too. And honestly, it was a case where they had a chance to tie the game too, and it was a bases clearing RBI double, and scored 3 runs for Ursuline, and that 4th run was coming around. I believe it was Brady Shannon too, and it was a throw out at the plate, a beautiful throw by Waynedale. They kept that lead, and I think that was all the momentum the Golden Bears really needed to keep Ursuline from tying the game, maintain that lead, hold that momentum.
You in the inning like that, throwing someone out the plate, it jacks you up, right? So then they come out with the momentum in the next inning. They score 3 right back.
Yep.
You wonder if it goes that way if Shannon scores and it's 4-4, and then the inning ends in a normal way.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 4-4 and then you bring somebody else up with, runner at second base, you have an opportunity to take the lead now with an extra at bat. So it becomes an interesting dynamic.
You were there. You were there, so I'll ask because you had a good view. Was it a good send, or was it just a really, really good throw?
I think it was a really good throw, too. I think everyone on Waynedale just really put together good throws, too. And, I mean, you got to give Coach Kemp credit because he did what I felt like Ursuline did all season, and Ursuline was a hyper-aggressive offense, so they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge you on throws. They're going to challenge you on bunts. They're going to force defense to make plays. And this was a case, too, where Waynedale, like I said, fundamentally sound. They made plays. They had an opening error. There was one error from the third baseman with Luca Ricciuti that opened the game, and I don't think they had any more after that. They started the game. First batter of the game, I don't know if it was first pitch, but first batter of the game opened up with an error, and Waynedale didn't look back from there as far as defense was concerned. They shut it down, locked it down from there.
You know what's crazy? We talk, defensive miscues from Ursuline, but they weren't errors as far as scoring wise. Because you look at the box score, they had no errors. It was more of the ones that don't go down to the stat book as an error, but they didn't make the right play per se.
Yeah, and
so that really makes little things, tiny things.
Waynedale possessed a lot of speed too, and they were sending guys all game too, and they were being hyper aggressive, sending guys from second to home on infield hits. And the thing was, I don't know if Ursuline was as mentally sharp. They had some mental lapses too, and the delayed throws to the plate too. Maybe not necessarily expecting guys to round third base and go home and just maybe stop at third.
Those don't go down as errors on the stat book, but they're still little mental lapses.
Oh, we got the owner to talk about the Ville a little bit. the one team to win. He'll be on to talk a little bit. That'll be cool to have DJ on too, right before Charlie Roberts too.
That'll be a perfect segue because we have Charlie Roberts coming on at 1:00. We're going to talk about all that, but we have to get the bad news out of the way like we always do first.
But
so
yeah,
any final thoughts on Ursuline Waynedale?
I mean, it was a great season too, and you know what? Honestly, just credit Waynedale for coming in with a solid game plan and just really putting all that to use too. And there was various times I saw too where Waynedale would put in hit and runs. They'd create that gap too, draw that second baseman to second base, create that gap and punch it right there through that hole too, the big hole left on the right side of the infield. Those are the kind of things that they were doing. And yeah, Ursuline just wasn't, I feel like, as mentally sharp in this game as they've been all season, but still credit the Irish on a great season. I think Andrew Carilla still has the potential to be one of the area's best starters. I think he already is one of the area's best. I think you're going to really see him take it to the next level for his senior year. But props to all those seniors on the Ursuline squad too, and the South Range squad, as we're excited to see what they all do in their future endeavors. We know a lot of talent being hosted there too, as it was also the last time we got to see Brady Shannon don the Irish uniform too. So that was kind of,
maybe not, because who knows? He might
well,
be.
yeah,
He might be Ursuline's. You never know with this All-Star game. You never know who's going to be Ursuline's representative, but someone gets one more chance to don their Ursuline uniform, which is what the All-Star game's all about.
But got a chance to, I guess, don the Ursuline uniform with the Ursuline teammates too, as a member of the Irish.
Carilla pitched 3 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, and struck out 3. So that was his outing, as he took the loss for Ursuline. But those 4 runs, 4 was enough. He kept them in the game. Like, it would have been 4-4 if those were the only runs on the board. So Carilla, it was a tough offense, like you said, to go up against because they were so aggressive on the base pass. But when you only give up 4, your whole job is to keep your team in the game, right? And that's what he did. He kept his team in the game. You're not going to be perfect every time you go out there, but he battled through some imperfections and he kept his team in the game. That's your job as a starter. So he did a good job in doing that.
Exactly, and he's going to continue to be really good for this Ursuline team. I'm excited to see what he can do in the coming season too, because I think he's only going to get better.
To be honest, that's what I love seeing out of pitchers at this level. When they struggle or when they're not at their A game, they're not super sharp. Can they work through that and find ways to keep their teams in games? And I think that's what makes the difference between a good high school pitcher and a great high school pitcher, that you can see, okay, they're ready to pitch at the next level. Because when you go to college, there are going to be some lineups that hit you up, right? There are going to be some lineups that you can't strike out 12 times. You're going to have to navigate through some bumps and bruises and keep your team in games in college. And the kids in high school that are able to do that, those are one of the signs of, okay, that kid's ready for the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And he has great composure too, does Carilla. And like I said, he kept his team in the game, and it's going to be interesting to see how Ursuline bounces back from this, because they still got a lot of returning talent for next year.
All right, we go from Ursuline down to Division 4, JFK. It was another one that we have to say, unfortunately, did not go YSN's way. The Eagles scored 3 runs in the first inning, and then it was just a pitch at a time comeback for Hillsdale. They didn't try to come back in one inning. It was just chipping away. They scored, I think, 1 in one inning, 1 in another inning, and then 2 in the 6th to win that game 4-3. And JFK's offense just couldn't keep up the momentum after that 3-run first.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too, because that's what you kind of need to do in these tournaments. You need to be able to add on and get those insurance runs, especially late in games. And you got to credit Hillsdale. They just, like you said, they chipped away. And they never gave up. They were relentless the whole game too, saying, like, we're not going to be denied this too. We got so close too, and they kept on finding ways to scratch runs across. But again, credit JFK, another district championship too under their belt too, and another fantastic season, as we have to say goodbye to a lot of really talented JFK seniors too, and a lot of guys that were a part of that, an integral part, I should say, of that state championship just a year ago.
When you look at this game, and I'm bringing up the box score, it was crazy to think that, going into the 5th innings, it was still 3-1 Warren JFK. And then Hillsdale has got some momentum, and we talk about the little things that happen during a game that turn tides. And you look at this fifth inning where you know, Hillsdale started to put out some momentum. Started off with a leadoff double. That'll get you some momentum right there. And then they came back with a sacrifice fly uh, after they moved the runner on a ground out. So a double, move over, sac fly, all of a sudden it's 3-2. And then they single, and a fly out. So even though they didn't score more in that inning, they still had, okay, we're starting to see him, 2 more hits. And then they came up in the sixth, and the inning opened with an error, and then a sacrifice bunt, and then a double tied the game. I mean, it's just the little things that give teams momentum. After giving up the double and the sac fly, the bases are clear. You come up and give 2 more back-to-back singles, even though the runs don't score in that inning. Those two singles give that team even more. That okay, we're starting to see this pitcher. We're starting to really make good contact, and they brought that into the next inning. You open it with an error, sacrifice bunt, and then boom, a double scores the game tying run, and they came up and scored again to make it 4-3.
Yeah, and I mean that's baseball, right? That's just how it is too. And I mean, if you're relentless, sometimes good things will happen too. And if you just keep within that game plan and just keep on pressing the issue, good things will happen sometimes.
It's one of the most unexplainable things in sports, how hitting is contagious. Like the same batter that was 0 for 2 coming into the at bat. Maybe the kid behind him gets a base hit, and all of a sudden, he sees the exact same pitches that he's been struggling with, but he just finds a way to barrel it up this time. And it just it happens like that. It just all of a sudden the hitters just start to go, oh, I'm seeing it. It's just one of those, like, people say momentum isn't real, but it is. And it's unexplainable. It's one of those things that you can't go, there's not a tangible reason it happened. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden these players got 10 times more talented. And they were sitting in the dugout.
Momentum isn't a physical, it's a mental thing. It's all completely mental, and it's interesting how it works. And that's just the interesting thing with baseball, because it's so grounded in being a mental game, and there's such a huge focus on the mental aspect of the game. So then when you see like hitting is contagious, that's the truth. How many times in baseball and softball do you see teams put together 3, 4, 5 hits in a row?
When they were struggling before that, it's like, what happened? I'm throwing the same exact pitches.
I've also noticed too, and I don't know about you, strikeouts are contagious for pitchers too. Once a pitcher gets like 1 or 2, they start really dealing. I've noticed in a lot of
the opposite mental on the when hitters are starting to see their teammates strike out, they start to get a little tense.
Yeah,
or
maybe they get a little hyper aggressive, saying, "I need to get this ball in play too. Can't strike out." And then, I mean, that's a beautiful thing, and that's the funny. We could debate and talk about baseball being a mental game all day, because I mean, there's so many cases of just.
If you want to try to tell me that baseball isn't mental, then pop on and let's have that argument.
I don't know. Would you? I mean, I would say it's at least 50-50. I don't know if I would say it's more mental game than it is a physical game. Because that's tough to say, right? Because like football is a physical game.
I think every sport has a little bit of percentage of mental. Like you have to have the mentality.
Absolutely, no doubt.
I would say that if we were going to rank them, I would say golf is probably the most mental sport. Maybe. You see guys just have mental collapses in golf, where it's like the only thing wrong is their mentality, and that can tank your game.
That's true.
Baseball is probably up there. I think those individual sports are probably the most mental ones. The swimming, the track and field, gymnastics, those kind of sports that you see in the Olympics that are kind of mano a mano, or you're kind of competing with yourself. Those are probably the most mental sports.
And I mean, it's just it's crazy, because it's like you see the guys that are like the ones in baseball too that are really good at it usually have some of like the greatest, I guess, like mental strength and just focus that you could see from athletes too.
And how many baseball, softball players have we asked this year, how do you stay mentally confident when there are ups and downs in the game? And that's one of the things you have to do. You have to always go into an at bat thinking that you're going to get a hit. And that's hard to mentally do when you're 0 for 3 or you're 0 for your last 9. Baseball will eat you up if you're not mentally strong.
it's tough to do and to kind of just forget about the last at bat too, because not every at bat carries the same weight as the last one too. So you could strike out 2 down, bases loaded, tying run at third, and it doesn't hold the same weight as top of the order in a tie ball game in the 4th inning. Like it's
One of the things that drives me crazy is with runners in scoring position striking out looking. Like, ooh,
but
at least go down hacking.
But it's the best players that are able to turn around from that right away and just forget about that. And that's a tough thing to do. And
on the other side, you give up a home run, you got to come back right back out, right? Like, how many pitchers can say, I just gave up a tank, but I'm going to come back out and strike out the next guy?
yeah,
Not
exactly. And not think about that, or not let that get in my head. Or like you said, or you make an error at like first or the infield and you have to go right back into the field of play and just right back in it, literally next pitch, and say, okay, the next one comes to me, I got to be ready too. Like it's such an interesting sport.
It's so fun to watch how some pitchers handle home runs other than other. Like some pitchers will just like not look at anything other than their catcher and not even pay attention to the runner running around the bases. But then other pitchers will like watch them, like they want to keep that in their memory bank. They know, like, okay, that's never happening again.
Just don't hurl the ball over center field fence like Trevor Bauer. Will be our softball pitcher does that. And you imagine just like whipping a ball into center field, like throwing it underarm, and it just like belts the center field fence just like on a line. Just like
Trevor Bauer's meltdown.
That was legendary. Don't do that, kids. Do not toss. Don't toss the ball over the center.
I'm just impressed that he got all the way to because Kauffman Stadium's a big outfield, and he got it all the way out there.
He really did. He chucked that so hard over the fence. I couldn't believe he threw
like, oh my
that.
God! Like, I wonder how many pitchers could do that.
Oh man, but no, you're absolutely right. Just the mentally, just being able to bounce back is what we see too with all these teams. And sometimes it's just like we said, catching fire at the right time. What I love the most about it is baseball and softball. Oftentimes it's never who you expect. It feels like that makes it to the state championship, or there's at least one team where it's like, how did they get here? I didn't expect them to be here too. And I feel like that's almost every year we see that in at least one of the divisions. Someone is just there. Someone has
Louisville is one win away from doing it, and it's a perfect segue to start talking about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where I was leaning towards, because Louisville was a baseball team that we had in our power rankings. We power ranked them, but they were never, I don't believe, in the top 3 in our power rankings. They were a good baseball team. I mean, we're venturing to say great baseball team now just because of what they've been able to produce. But they're a case too that the regular season, they had a good regular season, but they turned that amp up to 11 once this tournament started.
I think
that pitch last night is one guy that in particular turned it up.
They're kind of proving what their schedule does for them, right? The strength of schedule you look at Louisville baseball schedule, it was a who's who of good baseball teams, mostly in Division I. Remember, they're Division II in baseball. So, yeah, I mean, you'll look at that and it goes, okay, Anthony Warner has seen lineups this regular season, and all that pitching staff have seen like legitimate, really good lineups. So, not saying that the ones you're seeing in these regionals aren't good, but they're not going in like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then all of a sudden, oh, this lineup's really good, I don't know how to pitch to that. Like some of these teams that we see, especially in the smaller divisions, run into really good lineups and they just don't know how to navigate someone that can, hit a home run in the 9-hole,
Having confidence in this sport can make you invincible at times. And I can tell you right now, Anthony Warner is living with some sort of confidence that I wish to possess right now.
Wherever he's living, I want to live.
Yeah, he's on top of the world right now in his confidence level when he steps on that mound.
He just threw a one-hit shutout in a regional semi. That's the Sweet 16. He's like, you know what? You got no. I'm over giving up runs.
Few starts he's done too. He's just
earned runs. I'm over them. I haven't given up one in over a month.
He said, you know what? I'm done giving up runs in high school. I'm done. That's whatever his last one was the last one for him. He saw it cross the plate and he's like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Fed up. And then he just was like, he shut it down from there. But no,
And
what a game.
what I liked about Louisville is this time around, it wasn't that one inning. They kept kind of chipping at it. It was one run in this inning, one in the next, and all of a sudden they had 3 runs. And it was like, well, 3 runs is enough with Anthony Warner. But it wasn't. I think their offense was more consistent throughout the whole game.
Being able to add on offense is huge in this sport too. And like I said, being able to get those insurance runs, especially during the game, late in the game, and response runs are just as important. But just getting those runs and being able to keep on consistently reminding a team like we could score in any inning. We're capable.
It's a good conversation because JFK and Louisville both scored 3 runs, but JFK scored all 3 runs in one inning, and Louisville scattered them around. And the difference is when you're score 3 runs in one inning, the team the rest of the way always feels like they have a chance because, okay, we still have 6 innings left. We can come back from 3 runs. But all of a sudden the team's down 1, and then all of a sudden 2 innings later they're down 2, and it keeps kind of stacking. Okay, I think it's more of mentally tough to come back when your deficit keeps growing, even if it's not by a lot. It's like, okay, we're only down 1, and then, oh dang, we're down 2 now, and then later, oh dang, we're down 3 now, but we're still been struggling. How are we supposed to score now? All of a sudden 3 runs feels like 10.
I would venture to say the add-on offense is almost as devastating as the response runs, where like we saw with Wayndale and Ursula.
Perfect.
Those response runs can almost be just as devastating. But I feel like the thing is, I mean, it's tough to say, like with like the offense of being able to chip away. I feel like when you get all those runs in the beginning inning too, and then the pitcher's able to get those 3 outs, survive that inning, and then just start putting zeros on it, there's something to do with confidence with that. Right. And like you said, as opposed to, okay, we're only down 1, we can do this. Oh wow, they got another run, and they're still putting zeros on the board. Oh wow, they got another run. Now we're down twice as much. Now we're down 3 times as much as we were now. So
it's like we're down 3, and it's the 6th inning, and now we're like, oh geez, how are we going to score 3 runs in 2 innings when we haven't touched this guy?
Yeah, exactly. So it does help too. And I think if Louisville is able to find ways to just get that extra run, even if they do score like a big boatload of runs, like they get like their 2, their 3, their 4 spot in the first inning, if you could just find a way to scratch across like a 1 or a 2 spot in any other inning too, and then, I feel like that goes a long way in this sport.
I know you were doing the game yourself, so you didn't see it, but Anthony Warner got hit by a line drive, was able to regather and throw to first for the out. So that was one of the, and then obviously battled through. However, I don't know how painful it was. It looked like it didn't feel good. I mean, I wouldn't want to get hit by a line drive. It can't feel good no matter where you get hit. So he was able to back through that. And then JT Popek also got hit. So it was like they battled through some pain to get this 3-0 victory. First regional final for Louisville since 1988.
Earning their spots too, and I guess literally earning their spots too.
And that's why the headline for the graphic was "Spot Earned Checkmark."
Yeah, and it's a perfect segue to talking about this Leopards team because they've been such a fun team to cover during this tournament run, and DJ has been there for a lot of this ride too, and it's been so fun to just watch Coach Warner and just the relationship with these guys too, and just that the message that's been going across the Louisville community and just seeing how supportive this community is. We talked about how they are with all sports, but like to know how baseball and softball is and how like the support is from like as far as fans perspective, we know they don't get as much attendance as the football games, as your basketball games. Louisville's
crazy because they're free.
Yeah.
Like, not even bad.
Louisville's like, oh, we don't got enough seats in the baseball stadium. We're just going to line the fields with 500 people when we have it at home. And they're one of the best traveling fan bases I think I've seen, too, in our coverage map, as far as just they show up no matter where the game is.
This team is starting to really remind me of that South Range 2018 team in their tournament run because good pitching and then just finding ways to manufacture runs on offense. Like neither team was blowing out people in regionals or offenses was juggernauts. They found ways to score when they really needed to score. And Louisville is doing that right now. They're finding ways to just manufacture enough offense for their dynamite pitching.
Yeah, and that's huge too. That's huge for the Leopards that if they're able to get those offensive runs just put together and the pitching's able to keep it keep up as they have been all season long, it's a recipe for disaster. Right now, you're looking at 3 more stones to fall. You need. They're 3 very tough games, but you need 3 more.
They will go up against Chardon, who, beginning of this tournament, everyone thought it was going to be Chardon and Canfield. And that didn't exactly go as planned, but it's still Chardon and a YSN team. It's Chardon and Louisville.
And honestly, this is a Chardon team I've seen them twice this season. I saw them beat up on Niles a little bit in that district championship game, and then I saw them lose a game to Boardman earlier in Scene. And it was actually a game where Chardon got up, I believe, 6-0 on Boardman, and Boardman came roaring back offensively against the Hilltoppers. So this is a team I'm pretty familiar with as far as seeing a couple of times this season. So I'm familiar with the names on them. They got a good hitting lineup, 1 through 9. They know how to get the ball in play. They know how to get runs across, and they usually have, I believe, 2 guys right now on the Hilltoppers team that can deal, that are absolutely great pitchers. I believe the game we saw with Niles, I think only 2 hits allowed. I believe 2 or 3 hits allowed the whole game. So it's going to be a tough game, but we've seen Louisville have the pitching. We've seen them have the bats. And most importantly, you hit the nail on the head, Ant, when you said they have the schedule to back up going into this game.
Well, dating back to their district semifinal, that's 3 straight games where they've allowed 1 or less run. And they've allowed 1 run total in those 3 games. And it was that 1 run to Salem. And everything else has been shut out. So if they pitch like that, then, good luck starting. Best of luck to you,
It'll be a fun game, though. It'll be a fun one, and it'll be exciting, and you get it right here on the network tonight for $9.99.
Winner goes to Canal Park next Friday.
Literally, you're right there at the doorstep of Akron. Like, Akron, the exit's right there. The road to Akron is as short as can be. You're in the parking lot if you win.
I think you're past Akron if you're coming from us.
Yeah.
From Youngstown. I think you have to go past Akron to get to Canton, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going. You're actually gonna backtrack a little bit if you win this game and go a little bit shorter.
This is going to be so fun because, I mean, we know how far Thurman Munson Stadium's not far from Louisville at all.
No.
So, Leopard Nation is going to show up and show out. I got a chance to see Leopard Nation show up in that regional game basketball against St. Mary's, and they showed up big time there too. So, Leopard Nation never disappoints with the crowds that they bring.
What an athletic department season for Louisville. I mean, you look at some of the things they've been able to do this year. Do they go past wins and losses? I mean, I know that the girls basketball team didn't have a deep tournament run, but the turnaround they made from 12 wins last year to, I think, 18 or 19 this year against the schedule they had. I mean, it's a really good year to be a Leopard. And June 2nd is a really good day to be a Leopard because not only did they win that regional semifinal last night, but 3 years ago on June 2nd, their softball team won the state championship. DJ joins us. He called that game last night, and boy, was it one that went the Leopards' way. Anthony Warner, he's on some other level, DJ.
Yeah, AW is he's legit, man, and as legit as it gets, as they say. And I was listening to you guys the whole way home from Lisbon, and the reality is you're right about a lot of things, right? You're right that this is a team that nobody expected to be there. Anthony, you're probably closest to the pin when it comes to comparing this to a 2018 South Range team. A lot of people want to compare it, probably if they're watching YSN, they want to compare it to Warren JFK, a swaggy team that, nobody outside their clubhouse necessarily believes they can be there, but it's the little things in the game last night is what made the difference. It's JT Popick leading off in the bottom of the first with a single, and then stealing a bag, moving him around in a scoring position, and the rest of the lineup really doing what they had to do. They scored 3 runs. Robbie Roberts, who his son Charlie's going to be on here in just a little bit, told me before the game, he said, if we score 3 runs, we win this game. If you scored 1 run last night, you won the game, the way that AW was pitching. But you talk about these young men, and I thought they had some of the best interviews all year when they came on to Running Point last week and talked to you guys, because they're confident in their own abilities. And when you can do that in baseball, you're going to go a long way. And obviously, like South Range yesterday and Ursuline yesterday and JFK, boys, I was starting to wonder if I should have never made those graphics, because I made them for the first time yesterday, the game day graphics, and I'm sitting there like, I'm watching on my phone all these teams go down as Louisville is up, and I'm like, if Louisville wins, I'm never doing another graphic as long as I live. That's it. That's as far as I go. I had the bad juju going, but ultimately at this time of year, it's a 1-game tournament, and you win and you go on, and you got to have 2 horses. And I got to be honest, and I haven't done my due diligence. Usually it's about this time every day that I do my Richie Giuliano impression and try to study as much as I can. But since Ty's covering my tail tonight, I think Chardon in Louisville played twice this year, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that the guy that they face tonight, according to Robbie Roberts, is a guy that they beat. And Robbie said if Louisville, he thinks Louisville is going to put up a bunch of runs tonight, because the guy they face is probably 81 to 85. And the cat they faced last night, who's a D1 commit from university school, topped out at 89. So the offense is due to come alive a little bit, and they're starting to. You can see it, and it's an any given night situation. Siegfried in the district finals, Popek last night, Adelman last night, even Miller, one of the Miller boys got in on the action down the line. So it's an offense that's capable.
Grudge match. It's 1-1. Louisville beat Chardon 7-4. Chardon beat Louisville 4-2 in the season series. So 1-1. So it's the grudge match tonight.
So 7-4 must be the game that they played against this kid.
Yes, and I would believe so. Yep, it would have to be. I would assume so. If that's the one they were referencing in the win in. So,
and I'd be interested to see who pitched in those games. Can you look that up?
I'll double check and see if I can get
because Connor's going to go tonight. There's no doubt about it. I don't care if Brian's kind of trying to show his hands. I don't think you can not pitch Connor Morley tonight based on what he did against Marlington. I mean,
that was a double header they played too. So both in the same day against Chardon. So that loss came in the same day after they won the first one. Let me see who the pitcher was in that one. Connor Adelman had the big hit in that one. Yeah, they got the score.
Adelman's on fire right now.
Yeah.
Spot.
I don't know if they.
I don't want to steal your thunder either for this interview, but if you let me stick around, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have been there. There's we go.
Rob. Cole Miller got the win. So I'm guessing that this will be the first time that they see Connor Morley.
Yeah, that would have to be too.
So again, advantage Louisville. You know what I mean? From that situation, advantage Louisville, and not that they're not going to try to hit for Ant Miller or Ant Warner, rather. Ant Miller. I'm thinking of the Astro Falcons. For Ant Warner, if you get one run, you're all right. You know what I mean? So Ashton Marshall in the loss, pick 12. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is when you have your number 2, your offense feels a little bit more pressure. You guys talked about that mentality of baseball. Like Louisville's going to go in knowing that they need to score runs tonight. Not because they don't believe in Connor, but because they understand that at the end of the day, it's your number 2 and you got to protect your number 2. I don't think 2 runs is going to get it done tonight. It might. I'm not a wizard like Robbie Roberts, who can predict scores and situations and all that. Like as soon as it was 3-0, I texted him and I said, "Are you some kind of wizard? Like, just stay away from me with your wizardry from Louisville." But yeah, guys, I'm heartbroken, like absolutely heartbroken that I can't go to this game tonight. I have T-ball practice. So if people are wondering why I'm not on the call, yes, I believe it or not, I am family first, and T-ball practice and T-ball pictures are happening tonight. So Z gets a little attention, but I feel really good knowing that Mr. Bartell flying solo into that booth of Thurman Munson Stadium is going to be able to I mean, I'll be honest, Ty, there's not going to be many people to broadcast to in Louisville because they're all going to be there. So, I found that out last night.
I'm just excited to be there with that Leopards crowd again, because I've gotten a chance to see what Leopard Nation can bring to the table, and it's always been exciting. So regional final in baseball too. I can't wait to see just what the Leopard Nation brings out.
I'll give you a one up here, boys. You ready for it? A little breaking news. We're gonna give it away for free on YSN. We're gonna give it away for free, and it's gonna be brought to you by our friends over at SaberCat. In Louisville. Rob Roberts, one of the co-founders over there. We're working a deal with them, and they've done so much for us. So want to give back to not only the people of YSN, but the people of Louisville, the fans of Louisville, and just it's the only one left. It's the only team left in YSN. So let's celebrate it. Let's everybody get behind Louisville, wear something blue, and root for the Leopards, because at the end of the day, I think everybody here has a bone to pick with Chardon in one form or fashion, in one sport or another. So let's root the Leopards on, and hopefully they can bring it home tonight. And we're celebrating in Akron this coming weekend.
Yes,
I think another advantage Louisville has, because Anthony Miller went the distance last night. Coach Warner has a lot of pitchers in that bag that he can go to if he needs to. I mean, the depth of that staff, it's probably hard to pick who's going to start. I mean, not hard because of what Caleb did in the district championship, but he's got a lot of pitchers that he could start tonight based on what they've done all season. So he's got a lot of depth in that bag because Warner went the distance last night.
I don't think Warner does anything but go the distance. You know what I mean? He's just that field general that you want when you're out there. You feel confident. But one thing that we didn't talk about necessarily is JT Popek got cleated in the mouth last night. Like at second base, got cleated in the mouth. A clean play. Kid wanted to break up the play, and I think it was just wrong side of the bag. They were trying to turn two, and JT got cleated in the mouth. If you go look at the interview, you can see the Band-Aid on the corner of his mouth. He had to go through concussion protocol. He passed it with flying colors, and the first pitch after he kind of got shaken up a little bit was a ground ball to shortstop where he was playing, and it was an absolute bullseye throw over to first, and that's the end of the story. But you got to be tough in moments like this. You know how easy it would be for him to be like, you know what, I'm out. That hurt. I got metal to the mouth, and I promise you, folks, that doesn't feel good. So he stayed in the game, toughed it out. And Coach Warner talked about the not only the mental toughness of his team, because they're on, I think, a 9-game winning streak right now. You guys talked about what separates the real winners in this type of season. It's just when you can put a stretch together, right? And sometimes it's too early, and sometimes it's too late, and sometimes you get it just right. And when you talk about Warren JFK last year, they had the horses at the right time of the season to do what they did. You talk about 2018 in South Range. They did everything the same, like literally the same way, except for with a losing record as this Louisville team. So when you look at all the comparables to teams that we've seen win state championships, and this Louisville team, it's like a recipe for a really good cake. And you're seeing all the recipes on the counter, and you keep adding one by one, and you're like, man, this is starting to smell good. Now it's starting to taste good, and now you want seconds, right? So Louisville, look out, because you could have, and I don't want to jinx them by any stretch of the imagination, but you could have a state championship caliber team that's a bunch of cowboys, just like we saw with JFK, and just like we saw with South Range coming home state champions, because they're not afraid of anybody. Nobody thinks they're supposed to be there, so they're playing with house money. Boom, let's go. Let's ride.
Anthony Warner took a comeback or two, right?
He did. I never got a chance to ask him that. I think it caught him in the glove. That thing was hot potato coming out of there. That was fired out of a cannon. But again,
he was able to recover and make the throw. Right?
He made the throw to first base. They got the out. He did one warm-up pitch to make sure everything was shaken out fine, and he was going. Like, you're not going to find anybody on that roster right now that wants to come out of a baseball game. And how good do you feel if you're Brian Warner and everybody is fighting at the bat rack, trying to get up there? Everybody wants to make an impact. Connor Adelman, big impact guy. Got I think 2 RBIs last night. Popek came around for 2 runs last night. The only thing that was missing, And listen, he's been carrying the team for the majority of the season was Siegfried. He was a little bit quiet last night, which tells me, Ty, get ready. Get ready to call number 20 because my guy is about due for a moonshot. So get ready for blast off. You're going to be like NASA countdown control up in that press box tonight. I'm so proud of this team. I'm so proud of all of our teams. Watching last night and we did the power hour on Monday. It's heart-wrenching, heartbreaking to watch these teams fall short. You know what I mean? Knowing what they put into the season, and that's baseball, that's really any sport. And when you think about it, when you grow so close to these kids and their families and their programs and their coaches, it's just so nice to not be done yet. Like I was worried when South Range lost. I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have made the graphics. You think all that, like, I have no control over that game by any means. Even as broadcasters, we think we have control over it. We've got Zippo. But then you start thinking, like, what did I do? Oh, I ate breakfast. I never eat breakfast. Why did I do that? Like, all the things, it's like your fault. And I'm going through this. And the whole ride home, hour and 15 minutes for me from Thurman Munson Stadium, I'm sitting there, boys, and I'm like, thank God. Because if they lost, I'd probably still be there just sobbing, like uncontrollably. Like it's all my fault, but the Leopards move on. And can we talk about this for a moment? Why are they playing on back-to-back nights? I do not like that at all. I understand from the state title game because some of these places are coming from Cincinnati and Dayton and across the state to Akron, and we don't have to for once. But it's one of those things where it sucks because if you have a rain day tonight, and you're not going to, but let's say it's supposed to rain tonight, like last night or the night before, then you're playing on Saturday. And if it rains there, then you're playing on Sunday. So what do you like? I don't understand back-to-back nights at all. I think that a day between, I think you're asking for injuries, but I guess you're always asking for those when you play them, and you're playing this long. But I just don't agree with a Thursday, Friday. I think you go Wednesday, Friday in the semi or the regionals. And if you want to go Thursday, Friday, the next in the States, I don't have a problem with that. But the regionals at least have to have 48 hours rest or at least 36 hours rest or something like that. Because it's back-to-back nights is asking, I think, a little bit too much of kids that are still 14, 18 years old. What are your thoughts?
It's funny because even in like softball, where it's a sport where teams play a lot more in one day, and travel and everything, they had the day break for regional. So it's funny that this sport that you're worried more about arm strength and trying to keep arms healthy, that they don't even give a day break for baseball. I feel like if it was going to be the other way around, it would make a little bit more sense.
I don't understand it. And like you've come this far, right? All the state track tournament is going on right now. You've got the state softball tournament going on right now. Like, why are we rushing baseball on a Thursday and a Friday? Like, it could have been Wednesday because we played last Thursday, right? So, like, you give them 6 days off and you come back on a Wednesday. I don't know why we played on Thursday.
And if it was Wednesday, it'd be the only show in town because track wouldn't be in the States and softball wouldn't be in the States. So with teams that have both, you wouldn't have to pick between baseball and track or baseball and softball.
Or answer me this, or I guess riddle me this, Batman. Why are we playing every single division game on Thursday and Friday?
That makes zero sense. I can't believe we were doing every single division was on the same day. That one was the one that got me. I couldn't believe.
I asked Quinn, who puts our schedule together, why are they doing everything all on the same day? Like, break it up, because here's the thing. If you've got, especially in around us, where there's so many small schools and you got cousins and uncles and all that stuff, in different schools, what happens if you guys are playing at the same day, the same time, and you want to go see, like, you're making people pick. And usually that's not an OHSAA trait. Usually they try to make it so you got to pay to do this one, to do this one, to do this one. They don't want them all at the same time because you can't be there. And there's only so many baseball and softball fans, or in this case, baseball, that, like, I'm sure people from Massillon, Washington would love to go over to Thurman Munson, for that 5:00 game for Louisville and watch Louisville. I'm sure that, listen, South Range is there. Ursuline's there. What's another 15 minutes to get over there and to watch another ball game? You know, even though that they might not be playing them, it's it's the experience. I just don't understand. First off, the back-to-back games, and then secondly, playing all the division games at the same time, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and that's it. Like, just to me, that's poor planning and a mismanagement.
At the very least, I mean, just put them all at the same venue and just run it all day on like a weekend. Then if you're gonna do that, just throw them all there and just go Saturday all day, all divisions. Here we go.
Make it the schedule for state, except make it another site for regionals.
Exactly the schedule for state, but just regionals.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not a bad idea to play them at Thurman Munson Stadium. It's not Canal Park. It's a former AA ballpark of the Indians. Like, put it there. And then, you know, if you win there, then you go to Canal Park. And I would be, this is going to sound big. I've got this all planned out. So I've got all the solutions for the OHSAA. I even say go districts at Thurman Munson. Then you go regionals at Canal. And then you play the freaking state championship at Progressive Field. Like, you just climbing up the ladder a little bit, you know, and then, hey, maybe we go sectionals at Eastwood. You know,
that would be really cool. Sectionals at Eastwood, just keep it all there. I mean, you could, though. You take advantage of that, too, especially with the amount of just beautiful ballparks that we have accessible to us in this region of the state. Like, major league ballparks, AA minor league ballparks, like, utilize them. If we have access to them, why not?
And then go, like, you can go opposite. So, like, 1 year it's in Cleveland, the next year it's in Cincinnati. 1 year it's in Cleveland, next year it's in Cincinnati. Like, you've got 2 Ohio teams. Utilize the ballparks, and that way, okay, this year and this year. Like, do I love having it in Akron? Yes. For travel? Yes. Like, Ty? Yes. 100%. You are in love with that right now. We are rooting as hard as we can for Louisville because that is as close as we're going to get to a state title being in our backyard. I was the guy that made the trip down to Columbus day after day after day with South Range. Put a lot of miles on the old Karski. But, you know, it was worth it in the end. But trust me, when it's raining down and these teams that are from Cincinnati or from, you know, Ada, Ohio or Lima, Ohio are making the trip and it starts pouring down rain, they're going to be a little upset because the rainouts are going to cost them a little bit more money. It's an extra day of your hotel. It's an extra because they're not going to play a doubleheader for a state championship. They're just not going to do that. And nor should they ever. So if that ever crosses their mind, somebody needs to slap them across their face.
We would need to be like the first ones at the door with like just a group of people saying like that.
Some comments and concerns
right now.
Can you imagine? Like,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
That's us. That's us to the OHSAA when they try to implement that.
Didn't get that.
You need to try again.
You didn't get that. Can you try once more? No, but I'm excited for Louisville. Ty, I'm very, very jealous. I'm very happy for you because you deserve this call, but I'm very jealous after what you had to sit through yesterday and the devastation that you had to go through. Hopefully Louisville can pull one out for you, man.
I'm hoping, man, because I was starting to feel real bad after that Ursuline game too, and I started to feel like, oh man, what is going on?
Angel of Death. Ty Portel.
It feels like it too. I gotta stop wearing dark colors or something. You know,
if they don't win, it's all Ty's fault.
Yeah.
Do you have anything blue to wear?
I think I have red and black. I should have some blue attire to wear.
Yeah, don't wear red and black. That's certain colors. You don't want.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you go to Kent State, so you should have something navy around there.
Yeah, I should have either that or like something like a light blue, something that can represent Louisville in a good way for sure.
I was all Louisville out last night. I had a shirt from 2019 from their golf scramble, and I had the sky blue, baby blue shorts on. That like people were like, "Aren't you supposed to be like not biased?" I was like, "Nope, not now,
not now."
Go Leopards!
But this should be fun too, as we're gonna have one of the Leopards featured on Running Point here momentarily too. Charlie Robertson. I mean, you've gotten a chance to see him up close and personal. Give us a little preview of him, DJ, before we bring him on.
Speed for days. I mean, the kid has so much speed. He's high baseball IQ. Dad was a baseball player. Grandpa was a baseball player. Here's a little nugget for you that I released on the broadcast last night at Thurman Munson Stadium. there, to my knowledge and to the knowledge of anybody I asked, there's only been one father-son duo to homer at Thurman Munson Stadium, and it was the Roberts clan. So Papa Roberts and Rob Roberts homered, and I was told that if speak of the devil, I was told that if old Chucko homers, that it's the only 3-generational home run family in the history of Thurman Munson State. Chuck, why didn't you just go yah-yah last night? You could have made it real easy for us.
It's a lot of pressure. I got to live up to the name, but I got 4 at bats today to see what I can do. So we'll see.
Well, there you go. No pressure from this side. But I know that Grandpa was in attendance last night, and he drove all the way back to Columbus, and he's coming back tonight. Talk to me about your family, man. Supportive, not just of you, but of your entire family. What does it mean to look up in the stands and see your own cheering section every game?
Yeah, no, my aunts and uncles are all down in Columbus, and anytime it's a big game, even if it's a little game on a Saturday morning, they're usually there, and then they go right back after the game. So it means a lot, knowing that I have the support, and they're always there. So.
I'm thinking maybe you take one of those SaberCat bats out tonight and let it ride, see how it goes. Because dad has the business that SaberCat also works a full-time job. What's it like I'm sure you've been in there many, many times and probably made your own bats at some portion. So what's it like to really have baseball running through your blood? Yeah,
no, it's a really cool, it's a cool thing. I, as a little kid going down there and, just looking at how these things of wood just turn into baseball bats that are used in the major leagues is truly incredible. And being around it for so long, it makes today even more special, going for a state Final Four appearance.
All right, so Dad was from Salem. You're in Louisville. You guys are built very similar from a standpoint of your baseball teams when you played and as you're playing now. Rumor has it you took the Salem jersey out after the Salem victory. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. I walked in the night before we played Salem in the playoffs, and he had his Letterman jacket sitting on my bed.
Your dad would still have a Letterman jacket out.
Yeah. I've actually never seen it. It's my dad wasn't the biggest guy in high school, so it's pretty small actually, but. It was there, and I didn't say anything to him about it because I knew what needed to be done the next day, and I'm glad we were able to get that win against those guys. That was a good team.
Dude, you were an unbelievable center fielder. I feel like you're Lone Ranger out there because you can track anything, and you got more range than a Maytag. What do you do to really understand the trajectory? Because people think playing the outfield is like T-ball and instructional league where they just put out there whoever, throw them out there and see what happens. It takes a skilled individual to play center field. You got to have it all, kind of 5 tools, and you certainly have it. When did you realize that, the center field position was the one that you were going to really master? Yeah,
well, being left-handed, growing up, I was always a first baseman. So I never played in the outfield until about 14 so right before high school, I started going to the outfield. And my first game playing center was actually at Munson, so that's kind of a funny little thing as we play the other night. But I've learned that if you learn where the catcher sets up, it gives you an idea of where the ball is going to be hit. And there's little things. I don't want to give my keys away, but
Sure.
there's little things that you can pick up on and makes the game a lot easier, a lot slower.
What kind of tips did the old man give you? I mean, he had quite the career at Malone, and obviously you're well on your way to making your impact at the next level as well. What kind of tips did your dad give you growing up? You guys have been very good for a long time, this whole crew. What things did you learn and remember almost on a daily basis when you take the field that your dad kind of brought to you?
He always taught me first step back, how to read a ball, always in the backyard hitting fungos to me. And, I think that's where the basis comes from. And he always tells me to get faster. So that too. Oh, there's always that. So,
no, not him.
Yeah. So, he's been great, teaching me the game and really understanding what it means to be a baseball player.
when you saw some of the injuries last night, I mean, you saw that comebacker at Ant, and on the bump, and then you saw JT get cleated in the mouth. Like, you guys just rally around those guys, and the mental and physical toughness that this team, possesses. I said to Anthony and Ty, you guys are like a bunch of cowboys. You remind me of like the 2004 Red Sox. If I had to point to one team,
Yeah.
What's the mentality when you guys are on that bus? And I know you're only on it for like 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, and not that long, but
what's the mentality? I mean, you guys, is it Louisville versus the world?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like, all of us feel like we haven't gotten the recognition we deserved as a team. In the games we've played, we're underdogs in almost every game, including last night we were the underdog according to PBR, and we ride with that. That's our main motivation, and I can say that we're all playing for each other right now, and that's the greatest part of it.
Outside of the clubhouse, nobody really expected you guys to be there, and you're embracing that role. So, I mean, playing with house money, obviously something that you guys are doing right now. And, you've seen Chardon. It sounds like you've seen this pitcher you're going to see tonight. Is there a little bit of confidence that rides into tonight's game, knowing that you've already had, 6 or 7 innings of seeing this young man?
Yeah. We saw him in the first game. We played him in that double header earlier in the year. He's a pretty good pitcher. So, definitely we're going to have to work counts and, show the discipline that we've been working on all year, which is a main staple in our practices, discipline.
All right. So you got the best view in the house whenever it comes to seeing who's in the stands in center field. Like, when you see all that navy and baby blue in the stands, like you saw last night, I think everybody in Louisville was in attendance. What does that mean to you?
If you think everyone in Louisville was there last night, just wait for tonight. It's gonna be a lot better. I have a feeling. It means a lot to come from a community that always rallies around each other, and no matter what it is. I think that growing up here has taught me so much about loving where you're from, and I can tell you every player on our team is embracing that where you're from, Louisville. So it's something special.
And that's really interesting because now in the days of the college transfer portal and kids transferring schools, and obviously Louisville is a hop, skip, and a jump away for some really big schools that, sometimes people think that they can get recruited because they're at these bigger schools. You guys have all stuck together and kind of made a pact to each other that, hey, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it with each other. When you think about this group, why does it make everybody think this group is the group that could be so special in Louisville history?
Well, you look at basketball, and we hadn't won a district title in 29 years, and we were able to get the job done there and get to a regional final. And now here in baseball, we're in our second regional final in school history or something like that. And I think that this group, growing up, we had so many great teams that always just came down. They would lose by 1 run or at a buzzer beater at the field house. And, growing up, all of us saw that, and we knew that we were going to grind it in, and we were going to finish the job. And I'm glad to say that we've done it so far, and I hope we can get it done tonight.
You're a long way away from getting married, young man, but they say in baseball, the guys in your dugout, you're going to look around and they're going to be the same guys that are your groomsmen someday. Yeah. So give me a couple groomsmen you can see being in your wedding that's in your dugout right now.
Well, I got to go with my no-fly zone friends, I guess. Zach Seaman in right field, Connor Adelman in left. Those are my guys. Our goal is no ball drops in the outfield, and we've come pretty close to that. So, and then Caleb Harsh, he's my neighbor. He's also the hype man in the dugout, so he'd definitely be there. And Carson Siegfried, and he's also my neighbor. Great 4-hitter. All the guys, they'll all be there.
All right, so who's the ring bearer? Who's the guy that's like kind of in but not really?
Oh, jeez. That's a tough one because, I don't want to single anyone out, but definitely.
Is there anybody you just want to see in a little tuxedo?
Yeah, definitely Braden Gross. He's a freshman. He's like 6'4". He was our starting 5-man for basketball, and I just think that'd be awesome to see him in that.
I love it. Who would be the flower girl?
Caleb Harsh for
There
sure.
we go.
Yeah, definitely.
Would
No,
he have
no
the fanny
question.
pack and pulling the flowers out of the fanny pack?
He'd probably be in a dress, knowing him. He would embrace that role.
Who's throwing the bachelor party?
Definitely JT Popick, Warner, Anthony Warner, and Adelman. That's definitely their job.
Swaggy J throwing the bachelor party. I can only imagine it would be like a Hangover 4 with you guys. I'm sure. When you look at, I mean, and here's something that people might not know, and I feel bad for taking over this interview. I can see Anthony just leaning back, which I dig. What people don't really know, unless they are avid Louisville YSN viewers, is you and Zach were the basketball duo that took the nation by storm.
Yeah.
Being a part of YSN and now being one of the main events on YSN, what is that like? I mean, to make the transition, people always talk about, well, I can do this and I can do YSN. It's easy. It actually was kind of easy for you and Zach because your personalities. What was it like your first broadcast?
First broadcast was an 8th grade football game for our brothers, and I believe it was like only my grandparents watched it or something. So it wasn't big time yet, like girls basketball, but it was definitely something. We felt like we kept repeating ourselves. It was kind of we had to lay low for a little bit. We weren't really talking. It was kind of awkward, but I can tell you once we got to the Canfield game in the girls basketball, it was we didn't shut up. So it was.
I remember hearing about you not shutting up.
Yeah.
For Ty's going to be broadcasting you guys tonight from Thurman Munson Stadium. What do you think in your mind right now, if you close your eyes and envision what's going to happen during this game, can you, like your father, his wizardry that predicted 3 runs for you guys last night, can you give us kind of a prediction of what's going to happen and who's going to be the main event tonight?
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Both teams did not really hit the ball last game. I think Chardon won 3-1. So I think it's going to be a who hits the ball the most is what it's going to come down to. It won't be a pitcher's duel. And I think it's going to come down to that last inning, those last 3 outs. And I think Chardon, they're definitely going to put up a fight, but I think the Leps will get it done tonight. I hope.
Do we know if you're home or away?
We are away.
Okay. And does that mean you're breaking out the navies?
We'll be in all Navy tonight, yes.
Oh, the best looking unis in all of YSN. The all navies with the LVL on the front of the cap and the Vil on the back.
Yeah.
Is this the swaggiest team? And people talk about cocky and confident, but swaggy is kind of somewhere in that middle there for me. Is this the swaggiest team you've ever been on?
Yeah, for sure. I think last year we lost to Salem in the playoffs, and that Salem team last year, they were all swag. We wanted to replicate that this year, and that was the main thing this offseason was that we were going to play with swag. We were going to walk with a pep in our step, and that's what we've done this year.
Who's one guy that you've played this year that you would love to play with at some point, whether it be summer league or at the next level, or if for some reason they were able to make a super team or an all-star game even?
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough one. So many good players. I'm trying to think. Let's see here.
Just start ripping them off. I don't care if you do 10 of them. You don't have to do one.
Well, we played this kid in Tennessee. He actually just won Gatorade Player of the Year in Tennessee. He's going to the University of Tennessee to pitch. Lefty. Hit us, actually. Definitely would want to play with him. That's for sure. Let's see. Ryan Turner from Central Catholic. That's another one. We played them this year. There's a lot of good talent around here that we've seen this year. And, I'm proud to say that I'm from Stark County, Columbiana County, and played all these schools.
I love it, dude. All right. If your dad was back in his prime, who would get to play center field, you or him?
Oh, I'd have to go with me. That's just self-confidence right there. Maybe he might be able to hit the ball a little farther than me, but, I'm a little smarter than him, so that goes a long way.
All right. We're going to play greatest of all time real quick, all right? I'm going to give you a sport, and you tell me who the greatest of all time is in that sport. Let's start with the easy one. Let's go basketball?
Michael Jordan, no
My
doubt.
God. There it is. I saw Anthony just lean back. He's disgusted. Let's go football. Greatest of all time.
Tom Brady. Can't
2 for
argue with
2.
the rings.
2 for 2. All right, this one get us a little tougher. Baseball.
Baseball, so that's a tough one. I always liked Satchel Paige growing up. I always thought he was definitely one of the best pitchers of all time. Best players of all time, though, would have to be a position player. I can't go Babe Ruth. That's too basic. So,
Old basic Babe.
yeah. I might as well say Thurman Munson, but he didn't play long enough. It's a local guy. Greatest of all time. I'm trying to think of who has the most World Series.
See, your generation it typically is like Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Trout.
Yeah.
People like that. I'm so impressed you're going old school.
Yeah, you gotta go old school. I mean, Mike Trout might get there someday. He's not there yet, though. Jeez. We'll go Ted Williams. I like Ted Williams.
Teddy Williams. All right, Teddy Ballgame. All right, that's fair. All right, let's go. Greatest pitcher you've ever faced.
I've ever faced?
Yep.
There's this kid that we were playing a tournament in Georgia. I forget his name. He's going to the University of Georgia. He was throwing 92. It was 2 years ago, so we were freshmen. If I knew his name, I would tell you.
Was that like a 16U tournament?
Yeah, down in a perfect game in Georgia.
Unreal.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I'd go with him.
Who's the best offensive player that you've ever faced?
I actually play with him, so I'd say JT Popick for sure.
I love it. Which is ironic because he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. No, he's an all-around player. He's an all-around player.
All right, so we've talked about your dad a lot. I know how much family means to you and how much that he's sacrificed and your family sacrificed to get you where you are. You got anything to say to them?
Yeah, no, I just like to thank them for everything they've ever done for me, and they'll continue to do for me. I hope. I hope that we can pay them back tonight with a ticket to the Final Four.
What do you want to do after baseball, man? What do you want to do after sports, after high school?
I actually want to go into pre-law, political science, hopefully become a lawyer.
Are we talking about Congressman Charlie Roberts? Because that rolls off the tongue.
It's a possibility. I've talked to some people about it. I've interned for some campaigns already. So, we'll see what happens.
You got my vote, man. Hands down. Not even 18 yet, right? You got my vote. You're ready to go.
Yes.
So if you could pick any job right now, what would it be and why?
Definitely be a lawyer. I actually watched the Johnny Depp case, and that was so interesting to me. And I feel like that could be a lot of fun. Making people look silly in court.
Could you be a better lawyer than the ones that Amber Heard had?
I don't know. I mean, they had a tough job if you really look at it because they had no basis to stand on. So
Awesome, man. Anthony, I stole your interview. Ty stole your interview. So if you got anything, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, DJ. That was awesome because you're a pro, and obviously you've been covering this team, so it makes sense that you get to take that interview with you.
Charlie, I know. The only thing I have for you, I know all of Leopard Nation already knows where the party is, but let's go for anyone that's living under a rock or anyone in the surrounding areas. Where's the party tonight, and where can they find it?
Thurman Munson Stadium. It's gonna be a fun time tonight. I'm very excited.
What I want to know is, because with growing up with the generational baseball talent you did, you have to have some really fun youth baseball memories playing as a kid. What's your favorite kind of backyard baseball memory with this family that you're in?
Siegfried, Harsh, and me all live in the same little neighborhood here, so we always get it going in the backyard. And actually, Al Jancic, too, from basketball, our best basketball player, he's here, too. So we usually go 2v2 in the backyard. And I think we were hitting opposite-handed one time, and, I was able to hit a walk-off home run. I let Will know about it around the bases. And, maybe we didn't talk to each other for a couple days after that, but that's definitely my best memory.
With your experience calling games, were you giving yourself a call as you were rounding the bases too?
Oh, yeah. No, I always do that. That's always something that I'm able to do. Yeah. Even when I'm playing video games.
Now. Batting. Charlie. Roberts. Since we're talking about, my last question for you here, Chuck, is since we're talking about announcers, you guys have two of the best with Ian and Gary. Talk about how they've really become part of your team and how much you guys love having them around.
Yeah, I mean, Gary sits in front of me in my sociology class, and every day you turn around, who's pitching tonight, what's happening tonight, what's the scouting report, and it's almost like they're a part of the team. They are a part of the team. They're with us every step of the way. After every game, they're on the field getting their YSN player of the game up for the interview. It adds a part to the game that most schools don't have, and we're really appreciative of that. And they're great guys to be around. We shaved Ian's head after we won the district, and that was the deal. So they're fun to be around.
Gary said that you're shaving his head if you guys win regionals. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Well, he said if we win state, then we shave it. But then we negotiated it and we got it down to regionals. So yeah, we already got some football bets in for the amount of wins we get. So
oh my gosh,
it's gonna be a fun couple months here.
You guys are the 2004 Red Sox, the cowboy up. Dude, we're so excited for you. We're proud of you. Go get the dub tonight, and we'll see you in Akron. How about that?
That sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for hanging out, brother. We appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
There he goes. Charlie Roberts. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. And this to me, what we just did is one of the best parts of my job, our job, at least for me. I love talking to these student athletes, these coaches, and getting to know them a little bit better, making them laugh, talking about their families, talking about their futures, what they want to do. I would have never guessed in a million years that Charlie wanted to be a lawyer. I can't believe that anybody wants to be a lawyer, to be quite honest with you, but that's beside me. He'd be a good one, though. I mean, he's got the name Congressman Charlie Roberts. Like, tell me that he's taking poli-sci. He wants to study law. Like, he gets my vote. He was calm, cool, and collected, but he also is a vet on the mic, like the three of us.
I think the Louisville girls basketball calls were some of the best of the basketball season, hands down.
I think the thing, I mean, to toot our own horn, I mean, full disclosure, if you don't think that YSN isn't something that brings sports communities together, I mean, I don't know how that interview and like all the interviews isn't a full display of that too. Because like with me going to these games last night, I've seen Urson a few times. And it was my first time seeing South Range live, but I've seen them on the network a few times. I know the players, I know the names. You feel heartbroken when those teams drop games too. And I mean, I feel like we've seen that across other communities too, of people feeling the same way that we were feeling, that didn't go to Ursuline, didn't go to South Range, but just because they watch YSN and just because they've gotten to know these players' names and you get to introduce them, and we've seen a bunch of them come on the show too, you start to really feel with them too, and it offers that kind of connection with these teams and players too. Because when I tell you I was heartbroken watching back-to-back losses last night, I mean it was rough. Because I mean I've seen Ursuline this year, I've seen these guys, I've gotten to talk with a decent amount of them, and first time seeing South Range, but still, the guys you talk with a decent amount of them on the show too. It's you feel for them too. But when good things like this happen and you see these guys, you ride the highs with them too, and you get so pumped up and so excited. And I'm so excited for this Louisville team tonight too. I can't wait.
You should be, man. I mean, they when I talked to Rob earlier today, I told him, I feel awful about not being able to go, but I feel good about what we're taking there. I asked the guys, the Louisville boys, we had to ask them first, right? So Garrick's on vacation, so he's not going to be there. He'll be watching on YSN. And Ian said, just straight up said, no, man, that's bad juju. I haven't touched it at the microphone the entire way. I'm not starting now, which I dig. I understand. I get it. That's why I get, like, a lot of our announcers would have said no, because they're like, and not because they don't want to do the game, but because they don't want to be the one that is on the mic when it's the last game of the season, unless it's the state championship. But I mean, Anthony will tell you how traumatizing. I mean, again, I hate to overbook this, right? If we're talking wrestling terms, but the reality is we fall in love with these teams, and the intimate relationship that we have with these programs gets closer and closer as the fewer teams are left. So when we have just Louisville left for our entire season, and especially during the spring sports, it's tough because we know we're holding on to that one string and we don't want to let go of this season, mostly for me because I'm not ready for football. And the second that Louisville either wins the state championship or goes down fighting, I'm going to start thinking about freaking football, and I'm not there yet. I'm not even close to being there yet. So, yeah, can you pop that back up from Sigler? How many people would know about Louisville outside of Louisville if they were not a YSN school? Awesome stuff. So
I think a lot of our other local media outlets have kind of been like, okay, we're done. And we're like, no, we still got Louisville up.
I saw that last night on a few social media mentions. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I kind of got pissed. You know, I felt like, you know, I'm the adopted Louisville guy for the rest of the run. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, why are you done? You know, they can watch this station or this station, and especially in the world of digital, they would love for the media to be out there. I feel so bad for them because Louisville literally is in the middle of everywhere where everybody can kind of touch them, but not really. So they're the only team left in Stark County. They're the only team, you know, left in YSN. They're the only team left in anybody's coverage area. And yet we were the only ones there last night, other than some papers. And I sit there and, you know, Brian Warner and I, and Brian loves everybody equally. I want to make that abundantly clear. But as a coach, when you're the only dog left in the fight and nobody's covering you other than, you know, and let's face it, they love us, but we're also based out of Columbiana County. So I've got to trot an hour and 15 minutes to go cover them when somebody is right in their backyard and says, we don't need it. It's just Louisville. And that's why I love this team. It's never just Louisville. It's the Ville, and the Ville's coming for what you told them they couldn't have.
Why Leopard Nation got started way back before even YSN signed Louisville, because they probably felt like no one's covering us. We'll just do it ourselves in house.
And I met with that guy last night, and we're gonna have some good news in the future because
he does a phenomenal job too. He does,
yeah, lights out, and he thinks the world of what we do at YSN. And I said, well, hey, if you like what we do and we like what you do, well, what are we doing? You know, not being with each other. You know, like it's like going to a blind date and you're like, wowza, you know, you're down here and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, and she's wearing the rose that she said she would wear, and you're like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm in. You know, ticks all the boxes.
I think the biggest thing is, and we see it a lot during the end of the tournaments though, but we reference it throughout all seasons too, being a part of the YSN family, and it means something deeper. Like, yeah, we have our old school rivalries, we have our conference rivalries, but being a part of the YSN family means that we're ride or die with everybody. So as the strings start falling, and we were talking about holding on to that last thread, it feels like you have a whole weight of a whole other world that's backing you going into these tournaments, because just like JFK last year, just like South Range of 18, just like Louisville in this basketball season, you have all these other communities that are backing you too, because you're part of that YSN family, and because of that, you have fans everywhere that are supporting you.
Well,
and
think about this too, guys. I mean, how many times have we referenced just today the 2018 state championship team or the 2021 state championship team of JFK? Like, that is what I'm talking about. Like, we wear that trophy as much as they do, right? We are in for it. The memories we create with those teams, and you can go back right now and still listen to those games if you wanted to and experience them over and over again. And it always brings a smile on my face, not necessarily from the purchasing standpoint, although I am grateful when someone purchases one of those games, but I always smile because that means somebody's going back to live that moment one more time that happened 4 years ago or happened last year, a year ago. And a lot of times it's the seniors or the seniors' parents, and now it's like the juniors and sophomores and freshmen that were on that team that want to go back and relive that moment, because whether people know it or they don't, those are once in a lifetime moments, right? You never, we talk about it all the time this time of year. You never know when your last time is lacing up those cleats. And, you know, everybody wants that Disney story moment that you go through high school, you love it, you're not done yet, you go through college and you hang up on your terms. And it's not like that. Very few actually get to end their careers in sports on their own terms. So when you have those magical moments, whether it's state championships or walk-offs or teams that you're not supposed to beat and you do, and it's captured by YSN, this, guys, is what we're here for. We're here for those moments. So 10 years from now, you can tell your girlfriend that you hit 5 for RBIs in a game, or you scored 4 touchdowns in a game, or she can tell her boyfriend that, yes, I was an all YSN player, this and that and the other. This is what we're here for. We're here for the past, the present, and we're damn sure here for the future.
Yeah. And I mean, what I love too, from a viewing perspective too, and from a fan's perspective, it gives you more teams to root for too. So maybe your alma mater team, or maybe your team, your kid's school falls too. You still usually most of the time have 6-7 other teams that are sitting there still alive that you could just go right to and start rooting for and start backing them. It does provide longevity most times in a lot of tournaments too for us too. And that's what I love about it, is you just extend sports seasons too by just supporting all these teams.
Do you guys ever, so it's weird for me because it took me a while to figure this out. So when we're talking about colleges, and especially with Anthony, colleges and professional sports, like Anthony can't stand Georgia, right? But Anthony went to South Range, and now he actively roots for teams outside of South Range, like Poland, like you name it, he roots for. I feel like everybody does that with high school because they know those people. It's harder to root against people that you actually know and that you can bump into at the Southern Park Mall. You know what I mean? So Anthony, I want your take on this. Do you find the same kind of experience as you see like people from Poland rooting actively for other schools after they lose, or it could be any team? I'm just using Poland for an example.
I think, yeah, it's, and I think YSN has done a great job of it, because I don't think you used to see that a lot before YSN became a thing, because there was no way to kind of get to know these players in other schools outside of them being on a team that you play on and travel or something like that. But now you go on YSN, you're like, oh man, I listened to this guy's interview. I've heard a lot of people that get to know someone because they listen to their interview on YSN. Oh man, I got to know Bo Brungard more because I got to listen to him on YSN. That was the big rivalry when I was at South Range. Poland was kind of an afterthought because we didn't play them yet.
There's no NE yet, yeah.
So, I got to listen to Alex Rothwell talk during the basketball, stuff like that makes you kind of respect your rival a little bit more. And of course, you're always going to poke fun at your rival. That's what rivalries are all about. But with high school rivalries, you get to poke fun at them from the Southern Park Mall instead of never get to seeing them, and you don't have to meet them in person, and there's not that like animosity between rivals in high school anymore.
At the end of the day, they're just kids, right? They're all just kids, and that's the thing. I mean, if we pulled back any curtain and showcased anything, like, they're all just kids, and I think that's what they've all realized too, amongst each other too. I mean, they're just like the guys and girls at your high school too. They're in a different high school. They're just in a different location of the area too. But they're sports fans. They have similar interests, similar hobbies. They do similar things. And I think that's the coolest part about it, is that they're just kids, all of them. They at the end of the day.
You hate your rival until you meet people from your rival, and then you're like, oh, this is a little bit hard.
Like, these guys aren't so bad at all.
They're people, right? You get to see the humanity in your rivalries. Like, I have friends in the softball world that went to Georgia and played for Georgia, and it's like it's kind of harder to hate them as much as I used to, because now I know people that went there.
Yeah, because when you realize that you're more similar than you are different, you know what I mean? Nobody likes different people. It changes the toughest thing in the human culture to kind of wrap your arms around. But like you said, Ant, when we started this, I was just hoping to be the voice of the East Palestine Bulldogs, and look what happened. Look, you guys are now at that point, Ty, and we can say that 100% with both of you guys. Richie is in the same thing. When you guys show up to a broadcast, people know it's going to be a broadcast. They look and they go, "Who? Anthony's here. Whoa, Ty's here." Like literally this morning, Ty. I was going to say last night. It happened this morning. I said that Ty's doing the broadcast, and the guy goes, "Awesome. We're excited. Like, you're giving us a top tier broadcaster." And listen, there's the thing that I love is everybody is very competitive here, and that's why we love sports in general, is because we're ultimate competitors, even with what we do. And it's always like, oh, okay, I can do a better broadcast than this person and this person and this person. We compete against each other. I don't want to be the best by 7. I want to be the best by 1. Because if I'm the best by 7, or Richie or Ty or Anthony's the best by 7, that means that there's a lot of disparity, between 1 and 2. So my job is to make sure everybody gets as even as possible. And your strengths, Ty, become Anthony's strengths and vice versa. That's why you guys work so well together, because we're working behind the scenes. Let's show everybody behind the curtain. We're working on what's Anthony's strengths, what's Ty's strengths, and how do we merge this to make sure that the show is better, so the interviews are better, so that everybody's more entertained and watches more of YSN. And you guys have done a phenomenal job of doing that. And with all the interviews that you do, it's going to be hard, because the more reps you get, just like in weightlifting, the more reps you get, the stronger you're going to get in doing it. So I appreciate you letting me take over that segment. I apologize for it, because I did not expect it to go like that. I got a little nervous when I didn't see my face or anybody else's on the main screen. So I'm like, how do I justify kicking it to the next person? Like, I kind of felt like LeBron not passing it. I'm just kind of holding it.
Hey, sometimes LeBron had those games where he went off too. And I get, looking at this though, I thought it was a great interview too. I thought it was great. And you've gotten to know him personally too over these last few weeks. And I love hearing that, because you hear that with all of the announcers too, even if they just pick up teams or if they've been with teams the whole. I love hearing announcers that have been with that team, or you can tell that they've been with that team and they have relationships in the way that they interview them too, because it's a little bit more personal too. And that's, I loved it too. I was all for it too. I was listening and admiring the whole way too, because I thought his interview was awesome. All those Louisville guys are awesome.
I don't know how they got. I mean, I have to ask them, because Brian Warner, from top to bottom, they are amazing at interviews. Not even in the least uncomfortable. And it might be from Ian and Garrick. They interview those guys every day, and God bless them, because that was the biggest thing. That, like, they came up to me and they're like, "You do the broadcast, but we really want to do the player of the game." I said, "Go get them." Like, I'm never going to tell you no. Like, go get them, get reps, because I firmly believe that when 10 years rolls around, YSN is going to be it for everybody. We are going to have to do this at a much bigger scale, whether it's Ohio or Western Pennsylvania or whatever that looks like. But this stuff that we're doing right now is the stuff that separates us, right? Anybody can go do a live broadcast of a game and get the pats on the back, because nobody else wants to get on the microphone. But it's the in-depth interviews, Ty. It's that extra homework, Anthony, that you guys do that make it them comfortable when we come around the dugout, when we walk around the bench, when we are doing these games. We have a little extra. We have those nuggets that nobody else has. And when we walk down for an interview after, it's a lot of times, at least for me, and you guys can tell me if I'm crazy, you're getting high fives, you're getting fist bumps, you're getting hugs, all that stuff that comes with it. And that's part of the job for us. That's one of the perks. But people don't realize that some of these interviews that you guys have aren't live. They're taped. You do it at night when it's available for best availability for a coach or best availability for a student athlete. And you need commended for that, because this is not just a 9-to-5 job. Because really, if you think about it, your guys' job doesn't really start until 5 o'clock, when the game starts, or 7 o'clock. That's the real job of it. This is really, although we make money doing it, and we make a living doing it, it's at the very infancy stages of it. And this is what sets us apart.
Siggy chiming in too, just giving a little bit of love too. It's the complete
Siggy, go to work. You actually make money. Go do your job.
He's loving up on YSN too while he's multitasking right now.
He's a big part of that in the United community when we're talking about guys that know the programs and build relationships with the players. I mean, Siggy's right there with United every step of the way.
Siggy's there with a lot of different teams, and that's the other thing that people don't realize is there's so many people. I think we're over 60 on our roster if we went from football to baseball, and that's season wise, by the way, not just football and baseball being the main sports, but Siggy goes above and beyond, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit because he's never asked for a dime for any of this. He wants to be part of it, because, you look at what his brother's the coach at United, which is awesome. We've got access that nobody else has. We've got information that nobody else has because he hangs, to your point, Ant, he hangs in that crowd. But he's never told us no to going to a game. Like, he's like, hey, you need to utilize me. If we could have 50 more Siggies, YSN would explode, And I'm not saying that nobody else lives up to that. I hope they don't take it that way. But sometimes there's people that work their ass off so hard and never ask for a thing in return. And Chris Sigler is one of those guys. And our paths crossed because I live here in Palestine. He lives here in Palestine. He's a Beaver local grad. I'm obviously a Bulldog. We live literally about, well, I would argue my 9-iron is a little bit weak, but I'm about a driver away from each other. If it was all said and done and all the trees were cut down. And he's always like, hey, we need to talk about leveling up and doing this. And he's always engaged, and he thinks he's bothering me, and he never is, because he's always like that guy that pushes me. Because I never want to be the guy that's like, okay, dude, that's enough. Because if that's the way I am as a leader, and I always go, that's enough, I don't want to hear it, then you're not going to go any further. Like, he knows I love pushing the envelope, and we love pushing the envelope here at YSN, and he's always coming up with ideas. And I told him, I'll never tell you no. I'm always going to come back with, okay, what if this and what if this? And if you can, I'm going to keep poke holes in it. And if she still floats, we're going to be all right. So we owe Siggy so much, and sorry to kind of love up on him so much, but he deserves it. I mean, he's always on our shows. He's always asking questions during our shows, helping the announcers in ways that we don't even know sometimes, giving us a little bit of a breather and a mental break. Because when you're doing interviews, I had an interview the other day, and it was very yes or no. And I'm sitting there like, you've got to learn how to get out of that, right? It's very challenging when someone's not opening up and melting, as we say in the business, to conduct an interview. And luckily for me, I had like 5 other guys on the show during the time, so I can just kind of like, puck the ball or pass the puck over to somebody else. But yeah, like, I don't know how we got here to this thing, but it's kind of like YSN. I don't know how we got here. I blinked, and it turned. We went from a mattress store to a sports streaming company overnight, and we're an overnight success, even though we've been busting our ass for 5 years.
Yeah, it's taken what's what quote from I don't remember who it was. It might have been the Messi quote. It takes like 17. Took me 17 years to become an overnight success, or to get my 15 minutes. Like,
well, if anybody's going to know that quote, it's going to be you. It's not going to be us. So.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, dynamite drop-ins all the time from Siggy, always too. When we're doing interviews, I mean, he comes in with some great questions too, and I love it too, because I mean, I love having the comment section when we are doing live interviews. It's for that reason, for the fans that want to drop in with a question too. I mean, it's literally your opportunity to talk with these players and get to know these players on your level too. We will always, most of the time, I will say, not always, I'll say most of the time, we'll feature the questions live on the air too, and we'll have your questions be heard for these interviews, because that's a whole part of the engagement of being live. That's what we love to do.
It's why the Y stands for your. It's not there for anything else, but we want to be. Anthony probably sees it a little bit closer than most, other than Brian and myself. Because he does the social media, and and we've talked about it before. Like, there's nights where you and I are up till 2-3 in the morning answering Instagram and Facebook messages and emails and things of that nature, just to make sure we're being good stewards of people's time. But we have to almost bat people away, and we have to do our own due diligence now, to where people are giving us every little bit of information, which I don't want to sound like we don't love it, like it, because we love it. But it's like, we have to make sure that it's legit information. And then we've started to ask the question, like, hey, can you help us get this? Like, if you want this out there, can you help us get a picture so we can make a graphic? And I think the graphics have made all the difference in the world. I think the graphics are absolute fire. And I think people love seeing their faces and their kids' faces as much as humanly possible. So from our standpoint, again, risk reward is, we risk, a financial commitment to a company called Gipper, and the reward is we get to put your kid's face out there more and more and more and more and more. And I think that we certainly utilize that to the best of our ability, and we're not going to be stopping that anytime soon. There was a point last night that I thought maybe we would, because if it's costing us games in the regionals, we might have to pipe down on that a little bit. Maybe we'll just save them for regular season. But no, I mean, you're going to see it tonight with Louisville. We'll make another graphic for them, because now I'm superstitious on the other way, so I'm just excited, man. Like, there's a lot going on. We're announcing the partnership with Game Changer officially today. I'm working on the press release right now. The sky's the limit. The partnership that we have with WFMJ, the partnership that we have with Project MKC are great sponsors. Some of them, a lot of them, who have been with us since the very beginning. It's been, and it continues to be, such a crazy journey. And guys like Ty Bartell that come out of left field in Austintown Fitch wearing a suit his very first night and has never gone away. And I'm grateful for that. And making things official with Richie yesterday. Richie's going to be with us for a long time, and we're excited about that. The faces of this area are starting to become the faces of YSN and vice versa. So couldn't be prouder of what we've built together. But it's guys like Charlie Roberts. It's guys like Charlie Roberts' dad, Rob Roberts, who have really built the community and the bridge between YSN and Louisville, to which now is made of cast iron. And Chris Sinkler says, bring the suit back.
I was repping that suit, I think, the first week too. And then you got me that YSN pullover, and I think I wore that on Power Hour for like 8 months straight too. I put in the work too. I rep it, and I rep that pullover almost all the time. Either that or my YSN polo too. I always rep the brand where I go.
We have a store. It's online. You can buy whatever you'd like. But yeah, I mean, we have so many people to thank, and they've all become almost like family to us. You look at the Mark Roths of the world, who, I had a dad moment last night, right? A really good dad moment. And I got to share that with Mark, because I know he's such a proud father. And, he had some words of encouragement and some advice that I'm not going to share publicly, but guys like that who I look up to, and they encourage us. Britt Taylor, who's a guy at Fitch, who was a very early encourager of YSN. These coaches, these athletic directors, superintendents, are all encouragers. But I gotta say, more than any, and you guys can tell me again that I'm nuts, these fans, these parents are absolutely awesome. Like, to have what happened to us earlier this year, and we won't reference it, but to fight for YSN and to fight to have it for their kids. And I've been told by several different media outlets and several different people within schools and organizations that they will never, ever, ever walk away from YSN because of the public outcry that there is for it. And I think it was hidden until just a few weeks ago. And, cooler heads prevailed, and we continue to we're not going to hold a grudge at all. There's nothing to it. It's water under the bridge. You got us. Now we have to go prove as to why those people fought for us. And that's why we do what we do, man, because people follow Ty Bartell and they love Ty. And they will listen to Ty do anything. Like, if Ty was doing laundry, people would tune in for it. And that's the same way they feel about the majority of our announcers. That's why people tune in from 12 to 4 o'clock every day to YSN. And by God, it's because we're talking about their kids. We're talking about their kids who they take in. Like, parents nowadays are watching people's kids because parents have to work left and right. So it's not just that we're talking about their kids. We're talking about their neighbors, the people they bump into at the grocery stores, the people that they are invested in the community. We invest that same love and interest into that, and it's nothing but good stuff. It's literally no fat, no bad stuff, no calories, none of that garbage people talk about. We're giving you a good diet of good sports and good kids and good coaches and good programs on our network, and that is why we succeed. We give back to Project MKC, to Golden String, to all the places that we do with our all-star games that deservedly so deserve the attention. That is why we succeed, because we help lift everybody up instead of point and say, well, they're not doing this, so screw them, and they'll never be us. No, we're not trying to be anybody else. If we were, we would be in last place. But we're first place because we're just being us and doing what we do at YSN. And you guys are a huge reason why.
Shout out that YSN All-Star game too. We got that announced too, and that'd be exciting. I know Anthony mentioned it too. We're super excited for it too, as baseball softball edition of the YSN All-Star game.
Well, in more breaking news, Anthony's already been warned, but you guys are going to be calling the girls softball All-Star game. When we get a final destination and final date, I know that it's not going to be on July 2nd. That's what I've been told thus far. That's what we were shooting for. In my brain, it made sense because people are home. The travel tournaments are canceled or they don't have them that weekend because it's a holiday weekend. So it made a lot of sense for us to kind of sneak in the back door kind of at YSU. And then YSU said, hey, we'd love to have you, but man, it's a holiday weekend. And I was like, dang.
That worked against us too.
So it came back and bit me in the ass, which is usually what happens.
I've been looking at travel ball schedules, like which is the best weekend. When can we have so I've been doing that all since we got that message yesterday.
So we're shooting for the 26th, which would be the day after the boys. It would be a Sunday. We're going to try to go late. It's 7:00 again because there will be travel tournaments going on. Usually Sunday is that championship day in those travel tournaments. So hopefully, and not that I would ever root against anybody's travel team, but hopefully enough teams are eliminated early on in the day or even on Saturday that we can have enough to fill. Now, here's the caveat, boys. I was just doing the roster of players that we want for baseball, just for baseball, and I'm at 62. So, but the way that we're going to play it is 9 pitchers on one team, 9 pitchers on the other, 3 catchers on one team, 3 catchers on the other. So if you do the math, that's about 30 kids on a roster. So it's not, 31 kids, I guess, but I'm guessing we'll end up with 30 kids on a roster. That's not out of the line of making sure everybody gets to play. Now, not everybody's going to get in at bat. The pitchers are probably not going to get in at bat in most cases. But we do have one of the coaches is going to be Brian Warner. And we're just going to have him bring his staff in and do that because last year we had kind of the celebrity coaches. And that was the dub. Yeah, we know, Ant. You got the dub.
He's talked about it since
I got the dub.
Point with him. He's mentioned it now 6 times since I've been on with him.
We all know. The world knows. I feel like you're Frank the Tank. We all know that you had a good time, Frank. But no, I think that the coaches deserve a little bit of honor too. I will admit, and I will tell you that I have a call out to Boardman. Joe Gabriel being our coach of the year. I thought that was one of the things it would be proper to have him on and to have him do it. And Nick Mariano was one of our coaches I asked because he was our co-coach of the year. And he said, no offense, but hopefully we're still playing because the Pennsylvania state playoffs begin next week, which is wild to me. They might as well start it in July.
So we're not done.
We're not allowed to do it. So it was made abundantly clear to me that we're not allowed to do any of the playoff games, at least this year. We're going to work together and try to come up with a plan for next year. But it's a little bit different over in Western Pennsylvania. It's like, I think it's like
AA plays by different rules.
Somebody said like a football game is $2,000 per game to broadcast in the postseason. So we're going to have to figure out, and it's a lot like the Wild West over there. So we might have to do like a student broadcast or whatever that is to make sure and simulcast it on YSN. But listen, the great minds, if somebody would have told me we couldn't do something and they did, and I listened to them, we wouldn't be sitting here today, boys. So don't think that I'm going to treat the the PIAA any different than I am the OHSAA when I'm trying to race around their rules. So, but that's really it. I'm excited to have 60. I'm assuming it'll be very similar to the girls is 60 is that number because you think we got 55 schools. A few are going to have a double in there. I know Mooney's going to have 2 representatives, at least that I already passed that over to them, and I think they both said yes. So the only one, all those announcements are going to start next week, and the only one I can tell you that is 100% for sure from the baseball world is Joe Roth, my guy. I texted him very early this morning, and he texted back. So he will be the first release of the YSN All-Star Game, and it couldn't happen to a better kid. I mean, he's been one of our favorites for 4 or 5 years now. So 5 years since our beginning. So I think he deserves to be the first one announced.
The politician is what I like to call him too. He's so good at it too, and I mean he's the guy that everybody likes, right? I mean he's a good politician, right? He kisses babies, he shakes hands with everybody too, and I mean how do you not like Joe Roth?
Yeah, but then you see him 60 feet 6 inches away, and he becomes like the boogeyman. You're gotta check your pants.
He's got the Wild Thing frames on too, and he's ready to go like Ricky Vaughn.
He's a stud, man. I can't say enough about Joe Roth, one of my favorite kids in this entire world. And we're blessed because we get to go into their lives a little bit and learn about them. And, I'm not ashamed to say it, become fans, and I've started to put that as my kind of signature on my emails is your fan. And I mean that, when we're talking to these kids, I think why we do the job that we do and at the level that we do it is because we actually become fans of these kids. It's easy to sit there and be fans of Jose Ramirez and the Pittsburgh Pirates who just sweep the Dodgers and the Steelers and the Browns and the list goes on and on and on, and the Patriots tie. Sorry, no Chiefs, Anthony.
Yeah, no Chiefs love.
I'll just slide over and.
But I mean,
I think championship banner right there.
So. You mean that championship banner that is based on a wall of blue?
Yeah, so I got the Royals 15 banner over there off camera.
Yeah, they're pretty good this year too.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're the best.
I think they're playing at BCP on Tuesday, so if you want to cover that one, it's just an honor, to be able to be fans of these kids and legit be fans of these kids. And I think there's something people are always kind of looking at us crooked when we say that. Why is a 37-year-old a fan of a 17 or an 18-year-old? Well, I'm just a fan of people that do right and do things really good and really well. And we've got a lot of that going on around here. And it's, it's fun for me. And I know you guys have kind of adopted that same mentality is if you become fans of these guys, your job's going to be a lot easier to do.
Absolutely. And we're excited to continue the coverage and hopefully continue adding more schools and kids because they're doing it for the right way. They're playing for the right way. So
maybe.
Yeah. So we're excited. We're excited to continue the coverage and meet new guys and go Leopards, right? Go Leopards.
This might have to be a new thing on Fridays. Is just I come and hang out and we shoot the breeze a little bit.
I like that.
For a little Friday segment.
Kind of ease into the weekend, get to talk to people the way, and then so I'm trying to work on Richie to get him on the Power Hour more regularly because having you guys at 12 and us at 2 are 3. There it is, 3. We would be I think a dynamic duo, and then do some crossover shows, some mega shows, and see if we can go the distance. So.
Yeah,
I don't know how we incorporate Casual Sports Podcast in. They like taking breaks from local sports out here.
Yeah, it seems like we're gonna have the commercial break. It's just
commercial break right in between.
People need a break from local sports, man. That's why we talk about it. Oh,
okay. Speaking of which, you want to talk about a marathon? We're pretty bad. We didn't pay any bills today, but thank you to our sponsors.
Look, we got 2 of them. Anthony has it, and I've got it going.
Yeah, we got the sponsors too. We do want to thank all of our sponsors too, and the sponsors that bring all the regular season games to you for completely free. It wouldn't be without them too, and all the help of our sponsors. You see them scrolling across games and all of our shows too. All of their
shout out to Sabercat.
Yeah,
nice
shout out to
free.
Big time too. Because if you didn't hear, DJ drop that one. Free regional final game. So get out there and support those Leopards too.
Rob, you owe me. Roberts, you owe me for that. So that's a little free plug for Rob. But no, it's absolutely free tonight. Excited for it. Go Louisville. I think everybody is cheering on the Ville. So I will be from from T-ball practice and T-ball pictures. I'll be having Ty on. So make it loud and proud, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna take a 70-hour break when we'll be back on Monday. Casual Sports Podcast coming up from 2 to 3. You doing Power Hour, DJ?
I sure as hell am. You want to join me?
Who got on the Power Hour?
Who do I have? I don't know. Yeah, you want to come on the
Should
Power
we
Hour?
come back
Come on
to
in.
the Power Hour.
Come on in.
All right,
You're always welcome. Ty's probably going to get ready for Louisville.
All right.
Yeah, I might if I'm there early enough, I might jump in from the Ville too. I might join in from the Ville. So
please no, because that means you're
not the Ville, from Palmer.
He's the wrong spot.
We'll lose the game because you want to talk about it, and we'll never get it done.
But tune in tonight, folks. Let's go, Louisville.